Curiosity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Vista Chamber CEO Rachel Beld, and it's my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting our amazing Vista community and beyond. I don't have the words to express how excited I am to have today's guest on the show. Glen Henry, the driving force behind Beleaf in Fatherhood, is a passionate content creator and devoted father. Through his YouTube channel, he shares the joys and challenges of modern parenting, fostering a supportive community for families worldwide. Glen's authentic approach and commitment to positive parenting make him a respected advocate and influencer in the realm of fatherhood. Welcome, Glen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I know you're a very, very busy person, so I really appreciate you fitting me into your schedule.
Oh, no, I was really excited to do this.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so my first question for you is, tell me the story of Beleaf. Where did that come from?
Yeah. So, all right. So you got to forgive me because most people like I experience like surface type relationships and conversations.
Yes.
But everything for me like is super deep.
Yeah, of course. I want to dive right in.
Okay, cool. So I'm
going
to try not to go too deep because I get really weird. But anyway, yeah. So I grew up right and it's two separate realities. So my mom lived in Maryland, Baltimore specifically. My dad lived in California moved here when I was 2. So I would come here during the summer times and I didn't have a dad on the daily.
Okay.
I had a dad in the summertime, but not like during the year. And so I always kind of had this like longing, right? But I was like, man, I never want kids or anything like that because, by the time I was like 15, I always saw like these like my friends having babies early and it was like we threw a funeral. It was like, I'm so sorry, your life is over. 18 years of your life, nothing's gonna be the same, And then, my dad and I always had this like relationship that, was just always weird and tough. And I always felt like a burden to my mom because she's a single mother with 2 boys. You know what I mean? It just was really tough. So I actually was like suicidal early. Right. So like from like 9, I just like had these visions and like these thoughts of like harming myself due to some like, aggression in the home and stuff like that. And I just was really struggling to kind of make peace with me being valuable. Right. And that led to a lot of like unbelief in myself, And so when I finally, I got to this point where I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I called my dad to say bye. Right. And he's like, dude, first time I ever heard him cry. Yeah. Come live with me. Just start over. You don't got no pressure. You don't got to do anything. Just come out. Right. So 19 years old, 2005, I was like, okay, I'll come out. By the time I was 20, I moved out to California, August 31st, 2005. Got here. A homie, I had friends from when I was younger and I visited here during the summers. Yeah. Like, bro, let me take you to church. Let me take you to church. Let me take you to church. And I was like, man, I don't care. I'm stuck in Escondido. I had no friends here. Take me wherever, take me to Walmart. I'll be fine. I just want to meet people. So we get to the movement in San Marcos. I meet a guy there who's a rapper and he's like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to, da-da-da. I'm like, all right, cool. So he starts to teach me a lot of stuff about Jesus and then like starts to tell me more about like, MCing, rapping. And I was just like, cool, I'm not interested. He's like, you want to join our group? And I was like, I don't rap. So then he gave me his turntables that he had laying around and I got really good at DJing just out of nowhere. And all of a sudden I'm like DJing at all like the premiere open mics and stuff like that. And then, I called myself Beleaf as a way to remind me to believe in myself because I was so like doubtful. And so that's kind of the story of the name, right? And I spell it Beleaf because Belief has a lie like right in the middle of it, Lie.
Yeah.
Right. So I just switched it around, and that's kind of the story of how like I started doing what I'm doing. So music was like my thing. Yeah. Right. I started MCing, I started DJing, and I got really good. And I met my wife while I was DJing at a poetry event and, all this stuff. And then, I never wanted to be a dad until like I saw good fatherhood, like proof of that. Right. And Pat Lynch, who's the church, the pastor over at the Movement Church, was my proof. Like I went in his home, he let me in and I saw all his daughters all like taking care of each other and just being normal. But it didn't seem chaotic or aggressive.
That positive family dynamic.
Right.
Yeah.
Like no one seemed like they didn't belong.
Yeah.
Right. Which someone who grew up in a broken home and, didn't really have a nuclear family, I was like, I needed proof of like, oh, this is valuable. So that was kind of like the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important that you share about the importance of that mentor, because so many people have experienced different life circumstances. My parents also were divorced, grew up, you know, really seeking examples of positive family models that I could use to emulate or to be inspired by.
Yes.
So I also, you know, I can totally connect with that because I had a big sister through the Big Brothers and Sisters program. So I was matched with her when I was 8.
Wow.
And we're still friends to this day. We still talk at least once a week.
Wow.
So, you know, just seeing her husband, she became a mom after we had been matched for a while. She became a mom. I saw how she parented her children. So I completely resonate with the story that you share about having just examples of, you know, my parents did the best they could with what they could do. And I'm not saying anything negative about them, but it's great to have other examples and things to draw upon. So
Yes.
that's really great. And I know that on your website, you had that kind of about section that talks about really the fear for you about becoming a father.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know if you could do it, if you didn't want to have harm or trauma to your children.
Right.
And having an example of this is someone who can do it. That's really powerful.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I haven't met a man yet like that wasn't fearful along with the excitement.
Yeah,
right? Like,
of course.
Like everyone just kind of has that like, wait a minute, am I man enough for this? You know, especially.
It's a big responsibility to parent someone.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And even if you do everything right, it's still kind of a crapshoot, right? It's still a crapshoot. You know, you still don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think just being able to be someone, a public figure that people can connect with and say, yeah, I'm afraid. This is scary. I've got an example, have a role model. Maybe you don't have someone that you personally know.
Yes.
There you are on YouTube or TikTok or in Forbes magazine or Parents magazine or on TED Talks or anywhere. You know, you're everywhere. So I think that's great. So how did you take that experience of having a mentor and then decide to put your family online? Like, how did you make that connection?
Well, I think, you know, it was important that I had, like, once I saw proof, I was like, oh, I can do this. Right. And so, you know, just like, you know, with you and the Big Brother, Big Sister program, you saw proof and you were like, oh, this woman is a mother, and you watched her closely and you're like, oh, okay, she's figuring it out. You know what I mean?
There's joy in it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Right. So whatever it is that you think you're lacking, proof allows you to believe that you can. Right. You know, world records are broken, and then we believe that we can do it, and then we go along to break world records, and vice versa, right? Like they keep going. So I realized the power of proof. Now, you are proving everything that you believe with everything that you do, right? So I realized, okay, I never wanted to be a dad until I saw proof. Then I saw proof, and I was like, I can do this. Maybe people just need proof, right? So I can't be perfect, and I can't be the example for everyone, right? But I can at least be proof that even if you do it wrong and you apologize, you can still do it well.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that was the goal. That was the focus, was that like, oh, people need proof of fatherhood, and I want to be that proof. But that's how I justified it once I figured out I was going to do it.
Okay.
But I was bullied into this. Okay. Bullied. Okay. All right. I'm laying in the bed with my wife. It's 11 o'clock at night. She's sitting next to me. We have 2 kids at the time. She's like, tell me a bedtime story. Right. And it's 11:30. Right. And I'm like, I'm tired. You're tired. I don't want to freaking come up with something out of my imagination. No, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And then she was like, tell me your 5-year goals. And I wish I would have said the bedtime story. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because she put me on blast, and it was like her taking like a sledgehammer and just hit me in the chest, because she exposed the truth, which is I had no goal. Like I had no plan. She's like, what's your 5-year plan? Like, you know, and I was like, I thought I could cop out. So I was like, I don't know, whatever God has for us. You know what I'm saying? Nice, cool Christian answer. And she was like, I trust you with my family and my future, and you don't have 5 years planned out? And rolled over and went to sleep.
Like, oh.
And I just sat there like looking at the popcorn ceiling off of Ascot Drive, is where I used to live, right? And I just was like, I couldn't sleep. So I go to my computer. I'm like, what's a 5-year plan? I couldn't figure it out. I go to my homie and I'm like, bro, I need to figure out what my 5-year plan is. And this is the guy who's really annoying. He always asks a bunch of really good questions, but he challenged me a lot. He said, okay, what's your 5-year plan? I said, I don't know. He said, what's your 10-year plan? I said, I don't know. He said, what's your 5-year plan? And I just blurted out, I want to tell people how great it is to be a father. And he was like, okay, where are these people? And then working backwards, we figured out that they were on the internet and these are the platforms they're on. And this is how often I have to post.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's awesome. Okay, so how do you decide what content to share and what not to share? Because you can't share everything. You just absolutely can't. And some things is like nobody wants to see that. Or it's like too personal or too raw or there's like privacy concerns or whatever. So how do you decide?
I think we've had a shift in culture lately, especially over the past 8 years I've been doing this now. Before it just was like, I had accountability. I'm a person that thrives off accountability. So my wife is like, I don't want that out, or I wouldn't put that out, And I have to even go back and say, okay, are you saying this because you're ashamed of something or you're saying this because you feel like it's going to hurt someone? Like, what's the reason, without like kind of making her feel like she had an answer to me, but just like, hey, let's have a discussion about why this is.
Sure. Because you're a team.
Right. Because we're a team.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times she was cool with most things, but there were some things that she didn't like because of her own situation. Like, oh, my bra's out in the background right there. I'm like, well, bras are everywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a regular house. It's lived in.
Or your thong. There was a famous video about the thong.
Right.
I love that one.
Oh, man, that was hilarious. So, yeah. But, people wear thongs. People wear bras. This is normal things you find in the house, right?
Underwear happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially in our house with so many people there. You know what I mean? It's like
always laundry.
Always laundry everywhere.
Yes.
And so it's doing it even though, right? Like, I'm not going to let a dirty house stop me from filming, right? But I will allow my children's feelings or my wife's feelings about something to stop me. I'm not hungry to put this stuff out. And in the beginning, that was very hard to figure out. Yeah. Because I'm thinking about like, okay, this video could probably do well, but I might get some backlash, but this is okay, right? But what happens is we want to make things perfect. So most people don't put anything out that isn't polished. And my wife had a little bit of that issue where she wanted everything to she didn't want to like show the real, like if the house was dirty, she was like, well, I don't want to film, I'm like, well, houses are dirty. Like, that's just what it is.
Most people's houses are dirty more than they're not.
And if you show that your house is always clean, then you're making people believe that that's the standard. And that's not true. And that's too much pressure to put on anybody who's living life at home. So that was the early conversations. Now our children have to give consent for the video to go out.
Okay, that was my next question. Because I have a teenager and I'm a 9-year-old. And even when I just take a photo of them, like we're doing something as a family, because I don't really share a ton of content about my family, but I do share a little bit. And my kids will say, we want to see that before you post it. Or is this for you or for posting? And I'll say, oh, this is just for us. Yeah. Or this is for posting. Okay, well, can I see it? And then it's also the conversation, well, if you don't like it, why? Oh, is it? Oh, you had a pimple? Well, everyone has a pimple. Who cares? Yeah. Like, you look how happy you are in this photo. Let's put it on here so grandma can see it. Yeah. That kind of thing.
Well, yeah. And so for us, it's so much like my oldest son is kind of the most insecure about it because he cares a lot about what people think,
Yeah. Well, he's at an age where you're hyper focused on that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what happens is the rule is everything gets shot. Like, hey, guys, we're shooting in this room. If you do not want to be in the camera or on screen, go in the other room. But we're shooting over here. So if you walk in here, you're going to be on camera, right? So that's consent. Hey, I'm stepping into this room, understanding I'm going to be on camera. Sure. Okay. Then before it goes out, it's like, hey, are you okay with this? What parts are you okay with? But they're taking out all the best parts of the videos. So I haven't been able to post anything for like the past 8-9 months because they've been so like, nah. And that's difficult, but it's something I have to deal with. I'm a father, you know. I'm not going to jeopardize my relationship with my children for views. That's just not going to happen.
Well, your original purpose behind this whole thing was that you were afraid that you might make a mistake and hurt your kids. Yeah. So now you have this success. You don't want to go back to your original fear of making a mistake and hurting your kids. Right. So that's good that you haven't been taken off that path, that you haven't lost sight of that original focus and priority. Yeah. That's good.
Well, we started putting our kids in, some type of like assistant learning type of facility. And some of the kids already knew who my child was because of the videos. Yeah. So he was like, hey, like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with this. So he was like, I want everything off of the internet from this period. So I took 300 videos down.
Oh, wow.
Like from episode 1 all the way to when he cut his hair. It's all off the internet.
I love that cutting hair video.
Yeah.
So good.
What we're going to do is we have to get him to go through each episode and say what is okay for YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's ready to start filming again. He's like, bro, like, let's just make the money or let's do what we got to do. I like shooting video.
Yeah.
But he just wants to have final say of what goes out.
Yeah, and that's fair.
So, yeah.
Well, I remember you posted a video. I saw it on Instagram, was probably on TikTok or something, but I saw it on Instagram where you were upset, you're angry about people asking you, why are you putting your family online? Mm-hmm. And you basically said, I have to show my family. There's not enough examples of fathers, especially Black fathers. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about why did you shoot that video? Like what pushed you to do that?
I was pissed.
Yeah. You looked really angry.
Yeah. I was pissed because like, there's so many people like, I'm more upset with the generations before us that give us the silent treatment, right? So we step into adulthood with this confusion, whole misunderstanding about what life is supposed to be like. And we end up like just immensely frustrated that, we have these problems because we didn't know that they existed. And so like, I didn't know so many different things that were going to happen to me as a stay-at-home father. Right. And when I'm sitting there and my child is screaming at the top of his lungs, he's unconsolable. And I'm having to look at myself and say, okay, you're doing a good job. And then my wife comes home and she's like, what'd you do today? And I'm like, I lived. Yeah. They survived. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's a different amount of like, that is normal, right? Because what was happening was I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm getting calls from my homies getting on their wives for for coming home and the house is dirty. And I'm like, you don't even know what she had to do. Like I'm defending the wife. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, there's just this misunderstanding that I feel like people think it's okay for people just to not know. Right. And I got really frustrated when I asked an older gentleman in my life, and I was like, hey, man, like, this is a tough season. I got young kids. I'm working on my career. Is there anything coming up along the road that happens when you're around the age of 30? Like, is there something that I should be looking out for or something I could be that may come up? And the dude looked at me and goes, I just think you really should figure it out yourself. And I was like, it's something about we like to see people struggle, even if we have the answers. I'm not one of the people who's like, I don't like to listen. Like, just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. But so many people, like, they don't want to give you the answers, right? It's almost like they want you to struggle like they did.
They're gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I was like, the main point in that video was like, I share because you don't. You didn't share anything with us. Right. And the fact that you want to make sure everything's perfect, you're lying to everyone. Mm-hmm. And so it's an injustice to humanity. Like, just tell me how difficult it is. Like, tell me what I'm signing up for when I have a child. Tell me what I'm signing up for when I get married. Because what happens is we get married, we see the wedding, and we don't see nothing after that. And then 3 years later, it's a divorce. Or a year later, it's divorce. So what happened? What happened from I do to I want to get a divorce? Like, what happened in that time period? Yeah. What was the communication, the conversation? And that's why we started How Married Are You?
I was just going to say, that's your podcast, How Married Are You?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Transparency is a huge gift, right? That we don't necessarily get from the people that need to be transparent with us the most. So we end up trusting strangers, right? And it's like Dave Ramsey, like, common sense is now profitable, right? He makes money very simple, right? Just don't spend more than you make. Very simple. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Fatherhood is very simple. Be present. You know what I mean? Like, marriage is very simple. Communicate everything. Hey, I'm having a problem with this. I don't feel comfortable about this. Okay, I received what you said. This is what I heard you say. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that what you said? No, that's not what I said. What did you say? I said this. You know what I mean? Like, that's all marriage is communication. Yeah. Right? And so when we just say, hey, I do, the wedding's, $30,000 on the dress and all this money on the ring and all these big glorious, manifestations of love and all these big words
romantic feeling, the romanticization. Yeah.
People fall short of their poetry. Yeah. All you have to do is keep your word to me, know? And so that's what I'm irritated by, is that we have allowed society and Instagram and social media to make us feel like it's not okay to be normal. And I just refuse to live like that. And I refuse to let people guilt me for sharing my family.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you take advantage of your kids, you're exploiting them. My kids get paid. My kids are paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, they make money, and they'll be millionaires by the time they're 18, 22, maybe, if they play their cards right,
Yeah.
So I'm not really concerned about what people think, but when they say it, I'm irritated, because I'm kind of like, one, you would never say it to my face. Two, you don't understand the why behind what I do. And three, like, I'm really here to help you,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get really passionate about that, because I feel like
you should.
I feel like good people should share their story.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and that, like, when you think about the people, like, there's haters, right? Like, online, get comments. I think there was something where you were sharing some just really horrible things that people had said. And I think you even had screenshots of, like, things that people had said. How do you navigate that? And how do you shield your kids from that?
Well, one of my kids they don't have any social media.
Right. So they don't see it. They only see what goes out. They don't see what comes in.
Well, they'll see, like, if we're going live, they can read the comments live. But we have moderators too.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily into shielding my kids as much from negative, words, because that's just a part of life. Like, bullies exist. Yeah. But I love to meet a bully, and you look at their life and you realize why they're mad. I know a lot of people who question my behavior, they just don't understand. Like, they don't get it, and that means they're outside my demographic, and that's okay.
Then they're not your people.
Right. So I love to do this kind of exercise with myself, and my therapist helped me with this. But when you're on a stage, because I used to rap, right? So when you're on a stage and there's like 500 people that are rocking with you, they know every word, they got their hands up, they're screaming, right? If 2 people left, right, the haters, like, you wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't know. The lights are perfect, everything's good, right? But because they put their thing on a timeline behind this avatar that doesn't exist, right? Yeah. We take it personal, because we're kind of like, whoa, why didn't you just not follow me? Why didn't you just leave, right? But these people, they're thirsty for attention, and this is their platform. Their only platform is to be negative. So the truth is, they wouldn't exist if I didn't. Yeah,
that makes sense.
If the brave people weren't on the field playing, then the haters in the stands and, the naysayers, they wouldn't have a place to even go, right? No tickets to buy, right? So they need us, right? We give them life. It's like bacteria, So I'm okay with them. They're not okay with them. Now, there's some things that are extreme. I got to, call the FBI. People are stalking me. Some, people try to threaten my children. Like, that type of stuff happens.
That's gross.
Yeah, and it comes with the territory, But, I know what I'm built for. I know what I'm called to do. I told my wife a long time ago I would give my life to this, because I think fatherhood is that important. Yeah. And she already knew that. She knows what I'm here for. So. Yeah.
Well, and when you have the right partner, they see what's in you before you even see it, you know? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. That's like that's the clue that you have, that you're with the right person.
Well, I think too, like, it took a while for Yvette, because she was like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want my business out there like that. Yeah. And I was like, okay. But then she started reading the feedback. Like, people are like, yo, I haven't talked to my dad in 8 years. This video made me give him a call. Thank you. Yeah. So when we talk about reconciliation, and she was like, okay, like, I had the benefit of growing up in a Black community where I seen a bunch of healthy Black families, but a lot of people didn't. Yeah. So they need to see it. And so that's why we exist. Yeah. So she gets it now.
Well, and she has her own social media presence. Even I think your kids even have their own too, although
it's just me.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's just us, like, posting stuff that they
for them on their behalf, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I follow Mrs. Melanin. I follow, have commented on, she's like going live talking about like, my struggle today. Yeah, it's really relatable. So I think that's great. Mm-hmm. Okay, so obviously I'm follow your socials. I'm checking stuff out. Like, I love your content. My husband and I watch when you have the How Married Are You? I watch it. I'm cracking up. My husband's like, what are you watching? I'm like, oh, you got to see this. So we watch it together. I know you had an event for that recently. Yes. We actually had a conflict. We couldn't make it. I really wanted to go, but so I think that's great that you are showcasing families, but also marriage. And marriage is really hard. It's so hard, and you really do have to work at it every day, and like continue to choose your partner and have communication piece that you talked about. So important. Marriage, going to therapy is like, I think everyone should do that. Like every single person should go to counseling for your relationship or personal, it's like everyone needs that because we just don't get enough training on how to do that.
Are you an advertiser looking to make a real impact in North County's vibrant business community? Hi, I'm Caleb Rosado, the Membership Director for the Vista Chamber of Commerce. At the Chamber, we're dedicated to serving local businesses through education, networking, scholarships, and so much more. Are you looking to expand your marketing efforts? Would you like the Chamber to help you enhance your outreach? Double your impact by advertising not only on our popular Velocity podcast, but also in our quarterly magazine. Our podcast and magazine connect with a dynamic audience eager to hear from local entrepreneurs and strong leaders like you. It's a platform where your message can resonate with active listeners and potential customers. By partnering with the Vista Chamber of Commerce, you can let us spread the word about your business and inspire the incredible growth in the community. And since we organize and host amazing events throughout the year, including the annual Strawberry Festival and Christmas Parade, we continue to draw visitors from across the entire North County, extending your reach beyond just Vista. If you're ready to elevate your marketing strategy and amplify your brand, reach out to us today. If you're not a member, visit our website at vistachamber.org to become a member. And if you are a member, reach out to me directly. Let our team amplify your voice and discover endless possibilities for your business. Remember, when you partner with us, you're not just supporting your business, you're investing in the prosperity of our entire community.
So I follow your content.
Thank you.
I noticed there's someone new at your kitchen table. Frank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frank,
So tell me about Frank. What is up with Frank?
Oh man, this has been my dream since like a long time. I've always wanted to do this. This is so crazy because I got Frank back in like 2017.
Okay.
Maybe 18. There was an idea that started from a Snapchat filter, and then Snapchat took the filter away. And then I was like, okay, well, how can I make this character come to life that it's like, has like a, what do they call it? Like it just exists on its own, right? And I was like, oh, I'll build a puppet. I've been a fan of Sesame Street like crazy, out of this world. Right?
Sesame Street, pivotal for me.
Yeah.
I was 80s kid growing, like Sesame Street was really that and Mr. Rogers were like the only, and Reading Rainbow. Those three were like the golden three all the time. But Sesame Street and the puppets, I was so good. So
yes. And so like I was just so enamored with this thing, and I was like, I'm gonna build a Muppet, right? Yes. It's just such a crazy thing because I am so like I meet a lot of puppeteers, and I'm nothing like a puppeteer. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm nothing like a puppeteer. So I'm just kind of like, is this weird? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this, right? But I just had this voice and this character, and he had all these like kind of like he's kind of quirky and irritated by me. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like one of my grandparents or something like that. Yeah. And so Frank,
kind of like the Muppet guy that's up in the balcony, the two grumpy guys. I forget what their names are. They're Muppets. Right. They're not from Sesame Street, but from the Muppet Show.
Right. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The two cranky dudes.
Yeah, I can't remember their names, but yes, he's very similar to them.
Okay.
But he, like this morning I was teaching Uzi with Frank, and Uzi was writing his M's very small. And Frank, he has bad eyes. So he's like, I can't see that. You got to make them bigger. You know what I mean? So like, he's very patient with the children. And so anyway, I have a character. His name is Frank, Frank Puppet. And the goal is to turn him into the ice cream man. So he has a whole world. So inside of his ice cream truck, it's magical. He has these other ice cream characters that come out. And,
I love it.
They only come out for a little bit because, it's hot. You know what I mean?
They might melt.
Yeah. They all have different personalities, right? And the goal was to just make something that existed outside of the family so that if one day my kids are like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, then I can have this other thing growing.
You have other content.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because and the cool thing is I have the character and we make music for them. And the music is so amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and I love the connection between the music, the education piece, because your wife's a teacher, right? Yes. You're mostly homeschooling your kids, right? And so it's kind of the connection point between telling your story, music, education, showcasing kids.
Yeah.
Like it's all of it coming together into this one nexus. So that's cool.
And performance art. And, you know, it's a lot.
Funky voices and like silly songs.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. It's so fun, so hard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Physically too, like holding your arm in a certain way.
It is ridiculous. Like, you know, I watch the behind the scenes to like a lot of Muppet stuff and puppets. And, you know, sometimes they have their arm in the air for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like 10 minutes in, like, dude, if you don't say the letter M, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
Because Uzi's like, you know, like kind of distracted. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro.
He's 4.
Yeah.
He's 4.
But my arm is, I'm like, it's, you know what I'm saying?
That's your workout.
Yeah, it's super intense. So like,
Yeah.
I have to like train my body. I have to stretch. I have like a finger like stretcher with an armband that I attach to it. Then I'm like doing these exercises at night.
Intense.
Yeah, I really want to do this well. Like it's my favorite thing to do. It's the most creative I feel.
Yeah.
And I know people will get behind it. And so Frank Puppet is definitely on the way. And he'll be at the Black Art Festival.
Okay.
On
so
the
tell
28th.
me about that. Tell me about the Black Art Festival.
So Black Art Festival is a My Black City event that is going under Beleaf in Music, which is our nonprofit. So Brandon Boynes, the genius, has really had a heart for Vista in the local community for a long time. He grew up in Vista, went to RBV, played for San Diego State. And so now, you know, we're back and we are trying to, you know, impact the community. And the best thing we can do is like showcase art. So we have an art festival where we're going to showcase a bunch of different Black artists in the community. And we're going to show some films. So we're doing a few films, including my film that went to the American Black Film Festival in Miami, premiered there this past June. And we're going to display that at the, I don't actually know the venue yet. I think we're going to do it at Mariners Church on the 28th. Okay. But yeah, we have it there and it's going to be great. And
I will put information about it in the show notes too. So I mean, Frank the Puppet will be there.
Frank the Puppet will be there. He'll have a little 10-minute set.
Okay.
I don't know what he's gonna do. Probably he's gonna do maybe sing some songs and do like a freeze dance.
Okay.
And have him on the turntables or something like that.
Yeah.
And
that's fun.
Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna do.
Can Frank the Puppet say things that Glen Beleaf can't?
What do you mean?
Like, can he say, I don't know, is he kind of your alter ego a little bit?
He's the older version of me.
Okay.
Who's less patient with me, who's more patient with children.
Okay.
So you know how like, you have babies, right? And they're like 2 and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till he gets out of this stage. He's peeing on everything.
Yeah.
Right. And then he turns 8 and you're like, man, I wish he was 2 again just to get the cuddles, you know? Frank appreciates and he understands the importance of time. Yeah. And he's very patient. So he's thinking like, man, just let the kids do what they're going to do, And I'm still like, bro, if you don't go upstairs and like it's going to be a problem. Yeah. So please go upstairs, Yes. And Frank's like, dude, you got to chill out with that. So he's an older version of me. Yeah.
I like that. And I appreciate what you say about the kind of longing for the stages that have passed, but also being excited about what's to come.
Yes.
So like my son's 9. Mm-hmm. I think he's around the same age as your second kiddo. Mm-hmm. And so recently, like a week ago, he came in our room in the night and said, I don't feel so good. Can I get in your bed? And my husband's like, no, go to your bed. And I'm like, yes, get in. Mm-hmm. Get in and snuggle, because that doesn't happen that often anymore where I get, those cuddles. I'm like, get in. I know I'm going to have horrible sleep. I'm not getting a minute of sleep. I'm going to get kicked all night. Yeah. I got to go to...
Sounds like a nightmare. I'm with your husband on that one, but I get it.
But luckily, we got a big enough bed that it's me and then my son, he's like scooched up next to me. My husband's way over on the other side. He's got plenty of room.
Yes,
yes. So, to me, it's like, give me those cuddles, because it just happens so far. And my older daughter, she's almost 4. She'll be 14 in just a few days. Like, I don't remember the last time she was like, Mom, let's just sit and cuddle. Yeah. And that's also personality too. Like some people are just more cuddly or whatever. Mm-hmm, yeah. But, she's more likely to say, Mom, let's watch Gilmore Girls together. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Let's do that. All right. So, but the next stages are all just really cool and fun. And when you just like look at the joy of it, and it's so easy as a parent to be like, oh, I've told my kids to put their socks away 79 times and their socks are still sitting there. I'm going to lose my mind. And they need to put their socks away, and there needs to be conversations or consequences around not doing what you're supposed to do. But someday all those socks will be living in a different house. Yes. And so I'm excited just to have all those little tiny socks here with me today.
Yeah, and that's like what I understand in the grand scheme of things. You know, when I'm my best self, waking up early and reading and doing all the stuff I got to do, man, I get it.
Yeah.
But, you know, at 9 o'clock when your bedtime is at 7, I'm not here for that.
No, go to sleep.
Time. It's my time now, right? So, you know, and it's like, man, I could be a great father, you know, in the morning. And then, you know, by the time it's like bedtime, I'm like, bro, I do not care, bro.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. Just get out of here.
Well, wait, I want to ask you a question. Nope, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Save it. Save it for tomorrow. No more questions.
It's always the most random questions. You know, what does NASA stand for? Get out. It stands for get out of here in Spanish. Leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care.
Totally. Yeah. You know, I think that's one of the things that, you know, for people like me who really follow your content, it's really, it's so relatable. And it's highlighting the things and the memories also for me that I don't have the time, energy, or skill to capture and to share. And so when you post about whatever's going on, about like these kids, they're up again, up again. It's like, oh my gosh, this just happened to me. I'm right there in it with you.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, and then also like, you know, I've got all 3 of my kids are sick. I'm giving them a breathing treatment. I mean, like I'm exhausted, but here I am, I'm trudging through. And it's not like, hey, look at me, I'm a hero. It's look at me, I'm just like you.
Yeah.
You've been here. We've all been here. You can do this.
Yes.
Maybe you're up in the middle of the night giving your kid a breathing treatment.
You know.
And it's freaking exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hell.
Yeah. And just like, it's so much. Like people don't understand that if your baby, like, and I'm talking baby, like 3 months old, if your baby has a stuffy nose and can't breathe while laying down, you have to sleep sitting up and holding them. Like that happens for a long time, you know, because you can't just put Vicks on them. You know what I'm saying? They're too young for that, right? So it's like, it's just a whole different level of commitment when you're having a child, you know? And then like people try to tell me like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a dog dad. Like, no, you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's just like having a dog. Like, it's not at all.
Nope.
It's not at all. And I can't wait till you have kids eventually. You can understand.
And then you'll be like, oh, now I get it. And I was a complete moron.
Dumb. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So one of the things, you know, I'm with the Vista Chamber. We're an organization that supports businesses.
Yes.
You know, you're a content creator. What could we do at the Chamber to better support businesses like yours? Is there a role for the Chamber to play? How could we better engage with someone who's a content creator, someone who's sharing stories? What can we do?
Well, I think that, you know, and just tell me the goal of the Chamber of Commerce. Like, what's the goal overall?
To support businesses and whatever that means.
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially it.
So businesses need patrons, right?
Yeah.
They need people to come
Customers.
to their, right. So I think that, you know, an easy lift for the Chamber of Commerce is to contact all the influencers in the area, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
And when you guys are having grand openings and stuff like that, all of us should be invited there.
Okay.
Right?
That's great.
When they're invited there, then it's kind of like, oh my gosh. And then they would get more, and I'm not saying that everyone should do this, but it helps if I know that I'm going to get a free meal and I could take my kid to get some ice cream. Yeah. If the ice cream is going to give us a free thing or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, check out this new ice cream spot in Vista.
Yeah.
Right? That's that's free promotion for a sandwich or the cost of ice cream.
Right.
Or a free massage. I don't know.
Right.
You know, but that's the type of stuff that these brands are willing to do for us, because we're just going to be like, oh my gosh, look, they sent me this and I wasn't expecting this and I'm really grateful. Thank you guys so much.
And you have 2.5 million followers on TikTok who are like, oh, I've never heard of this brand. I want to check it out.
Right.
Okay. So maybe making connections between brands and the influencers that are here locally.
Well, I mean, Vista's such a great community.
Yeah.
Right. It's so much stuff happening here. And I don't think people really understand all the things that happen in Vista.
No, they don't.
Right. And so I think that you need to promote those things, and those things should be promoted by the people, micro influencers and influencers who are involved. Like there's a lot of mommy bloggers, mommy vloggers who will live and just do homeschool and all that stuff. Like, hey, we're having a thing. We'd love for you to come out. You know what I mean? The Chamber's having, you know, even like the stuff at the Film Hub. It's like, hey, we're doing a film session. All the influencers can come for free. You know what I mean? Or whatever the situation is, you guys fit the bill. I don't know how that works here.
Yeah.
But those type of things where it's like you're adding value, because the only thing I've done is I've just added value to a community that didn't have that value yet, right?
Yeah.
And so I just gave. And then when I say, hey, I have this event, or hey, I have this book or whatever, people flock to it, because I've given them so much away for free.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, and that's also good advice too for those listening. I'm asking you from the perspective of the chamber, which is really, for me, a question for me, but for the people who are listening, they could also apply that to their own business too. They could, reach out to folks and try to make those connections. And, at the chamber, we'll try to facilitate that too, but they could do that on their own too if they're not connected to the chamber or whatever and they happen to be listening. Okay, my last question for you before we jump into, I have two last questions. The first is, do you have a tip or a piece of advice for someone who's a content creator? And I mean, like I mentioned, you've been in Forbes magazine, Parents, I think People. You did a TED Talk. You have 2.5 million followers on TikTok, over, I think, almost 1.2 YouTube followers. That didn't happen overnight. So do you have a tip or like a little nugget takeaway for someone who's a content creator who really wants to connect with their audience, like how to grow?
Yeah,
and I know it's not one nugget, but there's a whole thing. But
yeah,
anything.
It's a lot, right? So it's not very difficult, but it is, right? Because it's deciding to be consistent.
Stamina.
Right? And it's deciding to make it better every single time.
Okay.
So every time you turn on the camera, make it better the next time, right? So you might want to start, and the first thing you do is you start your video and you kind of fumble through the words. And you're like, okay, I want to figure this out. What's going to be my intro, right? So I was like, okay, you try it again, messing up less. You know what I mean? Or the next time, like, hey, I want to, try to do a green screen. You know what I mean? Or I'll try this. And
just keep stepping it up.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Right now, like, I don't know, we probably have like 30 cameras in my arsenal, like, of stuff that we use. But I started out with broken iPhones. Okay.
There you go.
All the screens were cracked, but the cameras worked. And that's what I started with. And my unfair advantage, right? You got to figure out what your unfair advantage is. What makes you special over everyone else, right? My unfair advantage is I was a musician, so I had a lot of music.
Yeah.
And I could write songs really fast. So I'd write a song for every video. Okay. And then
you have great music. It connects with you right away.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That means a lot. I appreciate that. So the music was my unfair advantage. And then I realized I could understand what my kids were saying, but no one else could. So I'd spend the extra, I'd shoot a video. It would take me 20 hours to edit it because I sucked, right? And my computer was slow, right? And then I'd spend another 8 hours putting the words up on the screen as the kids were saying them. Before they had like these cap cuts and caption things, I was doing that by hand.
Wow.
So that was a commitment I was willing. I said, this is going to set me apart. And it took me a while, but people caught on quick, right? And then you set goals. So you have your goal. I want to hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay. If I post this often, this many times, and I respond to all these comments, I'll at least hit 500 by 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. And so then, so I'll set my 1,000 for 6 months. And, you hit those goals. Right. And, being yourself is just super underrated. Right. Because only you can be you. Mm-hmm. Most people turn the camera on and they turn into a different person. They turn to a version of themselves that or a version that they've seen. Right. And so I've seen people sit here. Which camera are we at? Right here. OK, so I've seen people turn on the camera, go, hey, guys, today we're going to Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, you ain't got to do all that.
No,
you know what I'm saying? It looks like you just got possessed. You know what I'm saying? You can say, hey, guys, we're going to Walmart. You know what I mean? And what I'm excited for is this, or whatever. Right. And then the art of storytelling, intention, obstacle, solution. Almost every video that I have out that does well, it has intention, obstacle, solution. Just this morning, maybe late last night, I posted a video. Uzi's calling Anaya onto the screen. He's like, Anaya, come, you can be in my video. She gets into the video and he chews in her ear and she goes, ugh. And that was the end of the video. But it's doing really well because he wants her. Yeah. She wants to be wanted. But the obstacle is that he's annoying to her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's a warty little brother.
Right. So
big brother,
the solution is she expresses it. She goes, ugh. You know what I mean? And that was it. Intention, obstacle, solution. Yeah. So I feel like that is like a super underrated skill that people really don't know. Yeah. A few things.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it just with like this podcast, this is our third season. So we've been doing a little over thank you. Been doing it over a little over 2 years. And I know in the beginning when I started doing it, I just want to tell people stories. I just want to amplify people's stories and connect with people. That's what I'm all about with this platform. But I was so hard on myself in the beginning about I messed up here, or I'm awkward, or I snort when I laugh, or, I don't like that. Like how many, like the angle isn't flattering or whatever. And I was just so hard on myself about that. And then I realized I can't change that I'm awkward. I can't change the way I laugh, or that I have a loud weirdo laugh. I can't change those things. So I should just lean into those things. And now more people are watching. And not that I tried to be different. I guess I did try to be more polished, which I still want to be polished, but yourself polished, right? So, and not that I have a long way to go to reach the level of engagement that you have with regard to this podcast, but it's growing. And I think part of that's the longevity. And part of that's just trying to stay authentic, and then also picking really awesome people like you to be on the show.
Well, yeah, and I want to just remind you this: never compare yourself. Like,
I'm doing my own thing,
right? Because you are so great at what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Right, and like I can never be with you. I can never do what you do. Right, so you're called to a certain people that I can't reach if I wanted to. That's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, and I love your content, and I think everyone should watch it, which is why I wanted you to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so. As you move forward, I think another thing that's super underrated is niching down, right?
Okay.
So there's something specific that you're really interested in that, will help more people come here. Okay. So this is a theory that I've been working on. I have some clients that I go through this with, but it's basically hand, head, heart.
Okay.
So what is in your hand is what you do and what you're really good at. It's your skill. Some people have dancing, DJing, whatever, communicating, interviewing. Then there's what you look like. That's what's on your head. And that's how people recognize your brand. That's by silhouette. I know that's Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever that looks like. So you have a kind of costume and something you wear, right? And then what's on your heart is your why. So that's what's deep inside.
Yeah.
Right? That's where people connect with you on a different wave. So people will connect with you on one of those things sometimes. Oh my gosh, I love Rachel. I love how she wears her hair. I just, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where they're going to attach to you. Some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the Chamber of Commerce. I want to be a part of this. I love how active she's in the community, blah, blah, blah. So people will connect with you, all those things. Your goal is to push all of that to the forefront so that they understand, hey, this is what I'm good at. This is what I look like. And this is what's in my heart. It's what I care about deeply. I care about family. Right. You promote that here. Right. You know what I mean? Like all those things are super important so that people can make a choice to say, I want to gravitate to you for this. Most people who are doing super well, I don't know if we're over time, but I just want to explain this real quick. Most people who do super well with social media have a specific reason why people are attaching with them, right? Very rarely is it everything.
Yeah.
I like everything about Tabitha Brown, right? Like, I like some things about Tabitha Brown. Most people, right? I love everything about Tabitha Brown because I think she's incredible. But some people are kind of like, yeah, I like vegan. Like I'm a vegan too. So this is my vegan person.
Yeah.
Some people like her for her hair. Some people like her for her family. Some people like the way she's used her voice. Some people like that she's an actor. Some people like she's from the South.
Yeah.
But I know all that about her because she pushed all that to the forefront.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I got it. That's cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't really mean to turn this into an advice session, but
no, that's
you're such an amazing resource. So I appreciate that. Okay. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention that you think would be important for people to know? I know you put it all out there all the time. So
yeah. Well, I think, we have the Black Art Festival, which I'm really excited about. We are working on two things that is really special. We did this last year, a Walk for Earth Day, which is April 29th, I believe. April 22nd for Earth Day. We did that last year, over 3 million steps pledged. We want to get it to 10 million this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, if you're not doing anything on Earth Day, Walk for Earth Day, sign up with us. It's going to be super dope.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And then I had this problem. So my kids didn't want to be on camera anymore. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do? So I just signed the paperwork to, get our publishing company started.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So we're working on the chocolate baby, how in the segment of How Married Are You? Chocolate Baby Storytime?
Yep.
So that's a book series.
I love it.
Children's book series like Berenstain Bears, like Dr. Seuss. So the chocolate babies are having all these experiences, and it's just the story time's like fluffed up.
I love it.
So we already have 2 books done. We have 3 books done. And we just submitted them to sales so that we can see if anybody wants to buy them.
Love
put
that.
them in Barnes & Noble. So
I just got chills.
yeah, I'm
Super
really
cool.
pumped on that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love books. I love kids' books.
I'll share them with
Yeah,
you.
I would love that. I would love that. Thank you so much. Okay, so I always ask every one of my guests a few rapid fire questions at the end of each episode. Okay, so tell me a book that you love, a book everyone should read.
Building a Storybrand by Donald Miller changed my life.
Okay, when did you read it?
I read it in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it changed everything.
It jacked me, especially if you're in business, marketing, building a story brand.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I'll put a link to it in the show notes, and I will also add it to my list. Okay. This is a hard one because I know you love music, but you got to tell me a song that you love. It could be even one that you just love today because it's hard to pick. It's really hard. But
yeah, I'm really into Superpowers by Daniel Caesar.
Superpowers. Okay. I don't know if I've heard it.
Okay, so Daniel Caesar played at the at Petco like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And my wife and I went.
Fun.
Way too old. We're all way too old for that type of crowd.
Okay.
Because there was no seats. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, my knees hurt, you know?
I love to go to shows, but I'm like, are there chairs?
Yeah. No chairs.
I love to go to concerts and shows.
Standing
it's like my
room
favorite.
only.
Yeah.
We're short.
Yeah.
You know, but that song is so fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can't wait. I'm going to listen to it immediately. All right. Tell me something that inspires you.
Oh man, my sister passed away a couple years ago, and that it's got me every time.
Rocked you.
Yeah, it rocked me real heavy. But she's such a great person and such an honor to be, to have had her.
Yeah.
And so I definitely I'll never be the same. But I often think of her. You know what I mean? That she's very inspiring to me because even when she was diagnosed with cancer and she knew she was going to die. I didn't, or she knew it was very slim. She was asking me about my problems. And I was like, I really don't feel comfortable telling you about my problems with you dealing with this. I should be trying to ask you how you're doing and encouraging you.
Yeah.
She said, God gave me the gift of encouragement. Please allow me to be obedient with my gifting.
Yeah. Wow.
And it just
powerful.
Super powerful. So that's my homie. Yeah. Brittany, so. Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful.
Thanks.
Okay. A Vista business that you think deserves a shout out.
Ooh. It's the free jumping gym, the parkour gym, and off of
is it Tempest?
Yeah, Tempest.
Yeah, that's in Vista.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Tempest.
And they do kids' birthday parties and they do.
I love Tempest.
Yeah, they're great. I found them because my son was invited to a birthday party there. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this place is amazing. Get all your whatever's out. Yes. Jump, climb.
My sons were a part of that gym for 2 years. Yeah. And now Uzi wants to go.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Uzi.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love that kid. So cute. All of your kids are just so special.
Thank you.
And so fun to see them, blossom and get their own personalities.
So different.
Yes.
Different. Yeah.
It's so crazy. 4 kids, same parents, same house, same everything. Totally different.
Yeah. It's like a pop quiz, every 3 minutes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. Thank you to our guest, Glen Henry, and thank you for listening to Velocity. If you like what you heard, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and tell a friend. Help us move Vista forward with Velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for business growth. Find us online and join us, vistachamber.org.